Windows just decided to mess up a whole lot of Linux distributions, and then it decided to go like, Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Usually we try and reserve these types of videos for our Wednesday Windows slot. However, this one was such a good one and I had a lot of comments on it. And yeah, I have more already lined up for next week. And this is a big deal going on right now. So we need to go ahead and chat about this one, as what happened is a recent Microsoft update bricked a whole lot of dual booting Linux systems. And I kind of have an idea about what might be happening here because Microsoft isn't saying a whole lot. If you like this type of content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a comment and a like down below. Or hey, maybe an unlike if you don't like the stuff. That's fine. Or hit the unliked button twice or something, you know, whatever. But anyway, let's go ahead and chat about what is going on. And from The Verge, we see Microsoft's latest security update has ruined dual boot Windows and Linux PCs. Secure Boot Update wasn't supposed to hit dual booted machines, but it's now preventing some Linux installs from booting. So there's a lot going on here when you dig into the fine details. This deals first and foremost with a grub vulnerability that was discovered in 2022. Now, to my understanding, looking at the CVE patches, I actually think most Linux distributions patched this a while ago. It allowed somebody with physical access to your machine to bypass Secure Boot and get into your system. And what it did is it did an update which updated your Secure Boot keys. Now, allegedly, it appears as though it is actually making this change through the grub software, not somewhere on your board itself, although I could be wrong about that. There's a lot of speculation going on about this, but effectively what went on here is if people had Windows and Linux dual booted, this update was not supposed to hit the system. However, many people are complaining that it did indeed hit their system, and what happened is the way that Microsoft patched grub, it made your Linux distributions fail to boot under Secure Boot. And so the challenge that we had is that now you have a system which was supposed to be made more secure, now can only boot Windows and you can't boot into your Linux anymore. Now this impacted Ubuntu, Debian, Linux Mint, Zorin, and Puppy OS are the ones that we actually saw stuff on. And of course we have an Ubuntu forum. Sure, let's accept all cookies on my browser that clears cookies when we close it. All right. On the Ask Ubuntu forums, we had a speculation about this. And there's also one on Linux Mint as well. Deals with this SBAT data failed security policy violation. And they actually say here, verifying shim SBAT data failed security policy violation. Something has gone seriously wrong. SBAT self-check failed. Security policy violation. I was trying to see, because they say here that note the wrong spelling seriously was in their message. So Microsoft actually released a patch with a spelling error, apparently. Although, oh, that's right here. I was like, what is misspelled? Seriously. So Microsoft pushes a patch to dual booting systems that it wasn't supposed to push, with a spelling error in it, and caused your Linux systems to not be able to boot. We're going to get into the fix for this in a minute. Just let that seep in. This is the quality control going on. Now, here's my speculation for how this is happening. Now, to my reading of these posts, almost all of the ones that I see, maybe all of the ones I see here, they're actually running your Windows systems the way I recommend dual booting, which is you're not running the distribution. You're not running the Linux distribution and the Windows, we'll call it a distribution, why not, on the same drive. Remember, I always say install them onto separate drives, because if Windows doesn't update to the MBR, it oftentimes kills your Linux boot capabilities. But if you keep them on separate drives, Windows generally doesn't see the Linux partition on the separate drive, and so any updates don't impact it. Well, that was not the case here. So I think that the people who had Windows and Linux dual booting on the same disk were probably not impacted. But I think what happened here is that Windows goes to do the update. It looks at the Windows boot record and says, hey, there's only Windows. And so then what it does is it does a search for all disks and updates Grub and the security policies. So if you had a dual booting system with Windows on one disk and Linux on another disk, it appears as though that's what was patched. And then, of course, when this happened, Microsoft kind of went mum's the word here. And so we see down here going on, the update was supposed to fix a vulnerability, allowing hackers to bypass secure boot. And Microsoft commented on the issue in its issue that its update was caused, but there was a workaround for it. Well, hold on. Microsoft hasn't commented, on the issues that its update has caused, but there is a workaround. We are going to get to that in a brief moment. Of course, on Ars Technica, when they did the article, Microsoft had not yet responded. And shortly after they went live, Microsoft responded saying, quote, "This update is not applied when Linux boot option is detected. We are aware some secondary boot scenarios are causing issues for some customers, including when using outdated Linux loaders with vulnerable code. We are working with our Linux partners to investigate and address." The sad thing is I looked into this, and Ubuntu has patched Grub in all of the latest versions. Linux Mint, therefore, has. Debian most likely has. I didn't look at their CVE reports, and I don't know about Puppy. Didn't look at that one either. Zorin, of course, also based on Ubuntu. So presumably this was patched, but Windows decided to patch it with their own nonsense anyway. Hey, look, it's Grub. Let's patch it. Ubuntu already patched it. No, we want to do ours. We have the QA team to do it. Oh, wait, we fired them all 10 years ago. This is insane. But I think that what happened, this happened when you had your Linux and your Windows on separate disks. Now, that's all speculation, and I did not see anybody speculating on that, but the way Windows says it, it says it's not applied when Linux boot option is detected. My guess is that means on the Windows MBR. So what to do about this? I'm going to leave the Ask Ubuntu in the description, as this has the verifiable bug. Of course, I think it's also listed in the Ars Technica article now, as well as in an update. Let's just go ahead and look at it here. It'll be in the Ask Ubuntu as well. So actually, let's do this one because it's more thorough. So first, you disable Secure Boot, and Secure Boot. Honestly, Secure Boot, in the modern scope of things, it appears as though Secure Boot's kind of like the TSA. It's there to make you feel comfortable, but it doesn't actually do much. Okay. Maybe that's a controversial opinion, but I disable Secure Boot. I'm not messing with it. We know that almost every computer running it is vulnerable anyway. And, do we really trust Microsoft, who holds the keys to Secure Boot, to actually do things right when they do this type of stuff? I just disable it. But if you do want to keep running Secure Boot, or hey, maybe you need to run Secure Boot because you got Windows 11. I don't know if it allows you to boot without it. Disable Secure Boot. This will allow you to run into Ubuntu. You're going to run into mock utility list SBAT revocations. And then you'll see the list of these revocations here. And what you're going to do is you're going to run the mock util set SBAT policy delete, and that is going to delete that from the revocation. So now when you're going to run it, and now you'll see just this. Basically, this command is going to get rid of the shim and the grub. They're basically blocking grub and shim. And so now with that not being blocked, you can shut your system down, re-enable Secure Boot, and you should now be able to get into your system, albeit that CVE bug will still allegedly be vulnerable. However, let me see if I can find the link to that bug. However, as I said, it appears as though most Linux distributions already have patched this. So I'm not sure why Microsoft is patching this ex post facto later. Maybe it's assuming you're running an old version or something. I don't know. So here is information about this. Again, this is discovered in 2022. And here's the record. Now, if you go back and you look at Ubuntu's notes about this and other things, it is actually mitigated in a lot of the distributions that I saw, to my understanding. Now, again, I'm not a security guy, and I'm not a guy that does a lot with the software and vulnerability, so I could be wrong about that. But here's what I know is right. A Microsoft Windows update messed up dual booting. I believe if you're using 2 separate disks for your dual booting instance, and the way around it is to disable secure boot and then remove that revocation and then reboot into your system. So there is the sum and substance of what is going on. Once again, guys, at this point in time, I'm like, let's just keep Windows on completely isolated systems. Pop out that disk. Do what I do. Get yourself an icy dock. And then put the Windows on that disk, and then don't boot Linux with Windows drive enabled. Don't boot Windows with a Linux drive enabled. That'll probably solve your problems. Anyway, there's that. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, is this correctly corrected in other places, particularly if you're in the security field, correct any of those potential errors in there. And with that, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, if you like this type of content. With that, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time.